Hey everyone, hi there, it's Dr. Jen. Welcome to What's Up Wednesday. Thanks everyone for being with me today, and I'm feeling so much better. So sorry I wasn't with you guys last week, but I'm here, Dr. Jen, today for What's Up Wednesday. And today we're going to be talking about healthy sleep for kids. And it really was inspired because, as many of you parents know, especially if you have young kids, that Sunday was daylight savings and we changed the clocks, and that sometimes makes for very cranky, irritable kids with meltdowns, and that's just missing 1 hour of sleep. So I thought, what a good segment to do to talk about sleep in kids, why it's so important, the benefits, and really those important tips on how to get your kids to sleep, to stay asleep, and really setting them up for healthy habits. As you know, I like to talk about healthy habits because it's important now, and as your child gets older, those habits stick with us and they have a huge impact on our overall health. So we're going to be talking about sleep and some of my tips and tricks, and why sleep is so important for kids, how much they should get. And for those of you who are joining me, I'm Dr. Jen. I am also an assistant clinical professor of pediatrics at the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai, and I've been in private practice for over 21 years on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, taking care of children from newborn through young adulthood. And I've written 2 parenting books, Good Kids, Bad Habits, and also the Smart Parents Guide to Getting Your Kids Through Checkups, Illnesses, and Accidents. And I now have out my new e-video course for new parents, for those that have children newborns through age 2. Really everything you need to know about caring for your baby while on the go. It's a great e-course, so you can download it right on your phone or on your computer, have all that information about sleeping, like we're going to talk about today, eating, peeing, pooping, nutrition, what to do when your child's sick, preventative care, safety, and so much more. All hours and hours, and you can just sort of flip through, find the sections that interest you or what you need to know at the time, and you'll have it there to download. So more information on Pediatrician in Your Pocket, just go to my website or on Facebook, you can see as well too, and click on the link for Pediatrician in Your Pocket, and you can download it there as well too. So hi everyone, thank you. Today, as I said, we're going to be talking about sleep, sleep tips for kids. And as I said, it was sort of just brought about by this week being daylight savings, and I know how just 1 hour of kids missing sleep can have made them crazy, and hopefully by now your kids are sort of back on track from missing that 1 hour of sleep, and hopefully you as moms and dads are as well too. I know it's a little bit difficult for me as well too, but for kids, they actually after a while do get used to it. But let's talk about how important sleep is and how much sleep your child should get. So I'm going to give you some ranges here. I don't get really stuck on the exact hour. Sometimes parents want to know, well, how much exactly do they need? But here's a range of how much sleep your kid or your children should get. So for infants up to age 1, it's about 12 to 16 hours, and that includes naps. And right, so for the little ones, it's obviously not in one long stretch, especially very little kids little infants before age 6 months, but 12 to 16 hours, and that includes naps. And then there's the toddlers, who are age 1 to 2, and they sleep approximately between 11 to 14 hours, and that's including naps as well. And then your kid's a little bit older for preschool, and sometimes they're napping, and sometimes they need a nap every other day, but preschoolers at age 3 to 5, before they start kindergarten, are usually 10 to 13 hours of sleep in the evening, and including any naps that they may take. And then there's the grade school children from 1st grade through about 6th grade or so till age 12, and they need on average 9 to 12 hours of sleep. And then there's the high schoolers, which who are chronically sleep deprived. They actually need less sleep, but they're still not getting it for other reasons that we'll talk about today. But those tweens and teens from age 13 on need somewhere between 8 to 10 hours of sleep. So I hope that gives you a little bit of a guide. When parents are concerned about their child's sleep, one of the first things that I say is, besides what time are they going to bed and when they're waking up, is how they're acting. This is a great way to tell if there's any issues, because sleep can affect your mood, your behavior, your physical well-being, your emotional well-being, right? So if they have a hard time waking up in the morning, that they have a hard time going to sleep at night, if they're cranky, if they're having tantrums, if there's issues at school, poor concentration. All those can be reasons that are sort of red flags to you that your child probably needs more sleep, and they should have more of a sleep assessment. And don't ever be shy. Speak to your pediatrician. They know a lot about sleep and sleep for kids and what you can do. But we're going to talk about some of those tips today to keep your kids sleeping well. So why is sleep important? So as I started to say, lack of sleep right can make your kids really cranky, meltdowns really easily. They can have behavioral issues, tantrums, more acting out at school, hard to pay attention. They can even have physical symptoms. They can have headaches and stomach aches, and depression is also can be a reason because they're not getting enough sleep, and as well as anxieties, but also physical things like hypertension, high blood pressure, obesity, all associated with lack of sleep or not getting enough sleep. So as you see, it can wreak havoc, and it's really important. And what do the studies show about sleep? Well, definitely kids who are getting enough sleep, they are doing better in school, they have better concentration, they have better attention, they, again, are feeling better. We know that kids or even adults who get enough sleep, at least 8 hours a night, it helps with their immunity. They get less colds, they're less sick. And it's so important for your body, for your muscles, for repair. There's many chemicals and neurotransmitters in your body that specifically at night, there's a rhythm. So for hunger and satiety, as well as your different cortisol levels, there's basically lots of different hormones and neurochemicals that are supposed to be secreted when you're sleeping. And so it's important for your body to restore and repair and get those hours, those Z's, for your kids at night. So that there, as you can see, there's just so many reasons why sleep is important. And in fact, right, we sleep pretty much a third of our life is spent sleeping. So for kids, proportionally it's more because they're sleeping more than usually 8 hours a day when they're young. So sleep is just so important for our bodies to function and to grow up healthy and to improve wellness and longevity. So let's talk about some important sleep tips for kids. And I'm going to say, like, for parents, are you out there, if you have maybe older ones, sometimes parents come and I'm seeing the shop for the checkup, or they're just coming in because they're tired all the time and they're just not sure what's wrong. And sometimes a parent will say to me, can they just have a sleeping pill? And my first response is no, they just can't have a sleeping pill. I don't really give out sleeping pills, but we talk about sleep and go over when I'm going to talk about sleep hygiene and making sure that they're doing everything they can in order to help their bodies so that they can sleep. And usually when I go through like the list and things that I'm going to talk about now, that many parents didn't even know that these things were important. And giving someone a pill or a sleeping pill, there's just so many side effects. They can be addicting and habituating, and they can make them feel tired the next day. They can give them hallucinations. They can be forgetful. Just a whole host of things. So no, for children, I do not on a routine at all regularly give out sleeping pills for children. It's just not a good idea. And even for adults, it's really having healthy sleep and sleep habits is the most important thing to do before any other next steps are even instituted. So as a parent and for your child of any age, one of the most important things, and we talk about this with habits for kids, is to be a good role model. And it's really important because even at that moment, if your child says they hate you or they're not happy with you or they're angry, they're always watching you and they're seeing what you do. And you're modeling that behavior for them. So yes, as a mom, I'm going to say I probably am usually the last one to go to sleep because I'm making sure everything's okay for the next day and want to get through some things on my list that maybe I haven't gotten to because I was taking care of the kids or making sure that they've done what they need to do for the next day. But you still need to show them how important those sleep is. So to get the amount of sleep that you can at night and to implement these tips that I'm going to talk about right now for the whole family, for parents and infants and young kids as well too. So a nighttime routine or a bedtime routine is really important, and you've probably heard about bedtime routine ad nauseum, but it really is important. It signals to your body, okay, it's time to start calming down and to relax, and that's really helpful for your body to get into that really that mode for sleep. So I break it down to different sections, but that nighttime bedtime routine is really pretty standard, right? So it's getting ready for bed, whether it's brushing your teeth and then showering or just getting washed up, putting on their pajamas. And you want to make sure that that they're comfortable. So either comfortable pajamas, you don't want anything too heavy or too light. You just want, depending on the temperature in your room or your home or your apartment, just to be comfortable. And so they have this set routine where then it really signals bedtime. Something that I like to always add into that last bedtime routine, because I'm actually going to talk about a pre-bedtime routine as well, but that last bedtime routine before they're getting into bed, it's a great time to then have a quiet activity that a child could have. They can read, or a quiet activity playing. We're going to talk about, at this time is not the time to have electronics, so we're going to avoid them, but that's going to be a whole nother tip. So right now, they're going to have an activity, whether it be reading, playing a game. If they're young children, they may want to be playing with their toys or their dolls, pretend play, just sort of calming things. But if you could have some, parent quiet time with your child, it's a great time, even if you don't have that much time, just to do what I call like positive parenting or praise at the end of the day. Just basically make your child feel good and secure before they're going to sleep. It's so helpful. Kids are so riled up and there's so much stress for the next morning. They have all these things floating through their head and anxieties and stresses. So, a big hug, telling you that they love them, that you're there, and just talking really positively for those last few minutes before they go to bed can make all the difference in the world. For older kids who may have some worries as well too, something that's great is to write down your thoughts. So sometimes if they have some anxieties, instead of obsessing about them while they're trying to fall asleep at night, if you write them down and they have them in their book, and then they can address them at other times, that can be really, really helpful tactic or trick or tip for kids. So just basically, they don't have to worry about it now, that you can assess it, that you reassure them, that you believe them, and that you put the worries in the book, and you don't have to worry about it right now. So I think that could be really helpful. I remember when my son was really little, before we even had this book where you can write things out, we had something called the worry rock. And so there used to be some worries before bed, but I would say, here's the rock's going to worry about it. You don't have to worry about it tonight. And it actually would be really helpful. So the worry rock took all the worries. And at night also, again, just to make kids feel more secure, sometimes they have a blanket that they just feel secure holding, a stuffed animal, while they're sleeping in bed as well too. Or even sometimes just having a picture of mom or dad or their family right near them also can be very reassuring as well too. So those are just some tips for that real bedtime routine right before they fall asleep. But I'm going to talk a little bit about organization and the pre-bedtime routine. So organization is really important too, because a lot of the stress that kids have is, and not getting enough sleep, is because they're rushed. They're rushed to go to bed, and then they're rushed in the morning because they don't have enough time because they're so tired that they can't get up. So if you do a lot of organization ahead of time, then kids can sort of sleep a little bit longer and still be ready to go in the morning, and everything's all packed and ready. So the backpack for school, like take the time ahead of time, or your child as they get older, you want them to like learn these skills themselves, but make sure that all their homework is in the backpack, their pens, their pencils, everything that they need. If they're bringing lunch, they know what they're bringing, where it is, so they can just put it right in from the refrigerator in the morning, and just pack up this stuff. And the same thing for their clothes. Let the child, or with you depending on their age, pick out their clothes the night before. So they can check the weather and see what they want to wear. And so whatever they choose, that's what they're going to wear. They can think about it the night before. And look, if they want to wear, pink socks and one pink, one green, or, it really doesn't matter. But as long as it gets done the night before, it makes things so much easier in the morning. And it also presents that it's easier for them to sleep because there's less worry, less things for them to do. They may get a few extra moments in the morning, which then can also translate for them having breakfast in the morning, which is also important as well too, for concentration and for their blood sugar levels, and then for them to really pay attention in school as well too. So really trying to be organized the night before. It sounds like it's a lot of work, but really again, it just becomes that routine, and that's just part of the nighttime routine, and you have to carve that time in. And we'll talk about doing that because this all sort of goes, I started out at night with a bedtime routine of going into the bed, and then this is like the pre-organization skills too, but we're going to talk about what else you can do for sleep. So it all sort of builds upon each other, and it doesn't, I'm going to say, have to be perfect every single day, but once you have these routines, then it's just really easier to slide back into them if there's a day that isn't going as planned, because again, you know, that's life. When you have kids, there's always things that come up. There's ups and downs. There's harder days and easier days. And I get it as a mom of 3. I know how stressful some days can be. But having those set patterns and routines in place really can help drive getting your kids to sleep, because they're going to expect it. And they're actually going to crave it and want it as well, too, because they're going to know how important it feels for them to get the sleep that they need. So that's about organization. And then the environment at night. So you want it to be a comfortable environment and a sleep-friendly environment. So dark is best. From the beginning, you really want to keep their kids' bedrooms as dark as possible. I say if not needed, like they don't need to have a night light. You don't really want to have light. It's better for their bodies to be sleeping with the dark. It's sort of, again, it's just that rhythm that they get into for sleep. If it's darker, the darkness also helps then the body temperature to lower, and again, that's more conducive to sleeping as well too. So you want the environment. Sometimes some white noise can be very helpful. So something like a fan, just the circulation. And the circulation of the air also can be soothing for young children. I actually like it too. I like it really dark. And the temperature should be somewhere between 68 to 72 degrees. That's usually the most comfort for sleeping. And there are white noise machines. There are apps that simulate white noise as well. Again, for children to start that habit, it can be really helpful to drown out even other noises outside. If you have curtains or shades, you want to close those as well too. Like blackout curtains can be great as well too, to help keep any lights that may be coming in from outside. And especially with daylight savings now too, when you put your child to bed, it may also be lighter outside, which is the whole idea, but it's not really easy when you have a child who's trying to go to sleep. So keeping those curtains closed or blackout shades can be extremely helpful as well too. And really just want to stress, you really want to keep the bed just for sleeping. So some kids do really well. They can like read in bed. Obviously no televisions in bed. We'll talk about that. No screens in bed. In fact, hopefully no screens in your child's room, because that can really cause havoc with sleeping. But oftentimes kids can read and then go to sleep. But some kids get so excited by reading that doesn't help them to sleep. So I often say, if you have a comfy chair, even they can make a little comfortable blanket on the floor to read, and then as soon as they're tired and they want to sleep, to get into bed and just have that bed mainly for sleeping instead of for playing, and that's often helpful for many kids too as well. So I just wanted to bring that up as an extra tip. So that brings me a little bit to screen time now. So, you know, it's ubiquitous now, right? There's screens, there's televisions, there's computers, there's handheld devices, there's iPads. You know, I'm not even sure what you're watching me on, but yes, the screens are everywhere. And we know, and the American Academy of Pediatrics also recommends, you know, no screen time, at least an hour before kids go to bed. You really want to turn it off for many reasons, and I'm going to go through a few of them. But one, just all the motion can obviously keep kids awake. When they're watching shows or even cartoons, everything moves so quickly, and it really, you know, your brain is just moving so quickly, and it's not conducive to sleep and to relaxation. And also, there may be, you may not even know, but TV may be on in the background in your living room, and your child is there, and they're seeing the news, and it can be really scary, even if it's just like for a second. You never know what they're going to show, if there's, you know, any violence or what have you, and so it doesn't have to be specifically from an adult television show, but it could just be from the news. So it's really important to turn off those TV sets and sort of be aware, especially before going to sleep. And then another reason is that the light, so as I was talking about before, but the light that gets emitted from especially computers and phones, that blue spectrum of light, that light can actually cause kids to really be much more alert than they would have been. It takes away from sleep. It actually decreases and interferes with production of melatonin, which is neurochemical that really helps in your body. It's produced by your pineal gland in your brain. That it really helps you to regulate your circadian and your sleep rhythms to go to sleep. So having that light, especially that blue light at night, really interferes with that. So you want to have it as dark as possible, and that would mean turning off computers and screens. So let me talk a little bit about melatonin, because I actually did bring that up about the blue lights at night too. So you want your body to produce its own melatonin, and melatonin can help you again with getting to sleep at the same time each night. So you want to have consistent routines. You want to make sure it's dark at night, but you actually want the light in the morning. So light in the morning is really helpful, and dark at night helps you produce the melatonin. So either if you can in your kitchen, if it's near a window, if your kids are eating breakfast, that's a great way to get some light as well. Or if they're outside and they're walking to the bus stop or walking to school, but you want to have them definitely sunlight during the day, and to keep it dark or so, or dim at least an hour before they're going to bed. That will help also with the production of melatonin. Also, your body produces melatonin. Eating lots of fruits and vegetables and whole grains as well too can be helpful for the production of melatonin. And some people, ask me about melatonin, and again, it's on a case-to-case basis. You really have to make sure that you speak to your pediatrician, even though it's over the counter. Again, anything that you give to your child, I think you need to know about and how much, and I can't specifically give recommendations to anyone particularly over this kind of forum, but if you do have questions about melatonin or more, you should speak directly with your pediatrician as well. Also, what else can I tell you? Keeping regular sleep time. So it's really important as much as possible, specifically during the week when your child's at school, but also on the weekend, to try to keep some semblance when you can of schedule and routine. People will come to me and say, I know, but I slept so much on the weekend and I still feel tired. I'm tired all the time. Well, it was just one day, right, that you got sleep. So think about it, right? Your body, every day, you're up and at 'em, and you have to pay attention and use your brain. And so one day of getting good sleep isn't really going to fix everything. We're looking up, and today talking about the long haul, these healthy tips that can overall improve your wellness and longevity, and feeling good emotionally and physically. So sleep, as I know, each day is not going to be perfect. There's always special things that occur. But if you try as much as possible to have regular routine sleep on a daily basis, even on the weekends as well too, it's going to be, your kids are going to crave it. They're going to be happy and feel so much better when they're getting the sleep that they need. So just try when you can to keep as routine for sleep on these tips as much as possible. And my number one key that I think I said to getting your kids to sleep at night is physical activity. Physical activity, exercise, getting up and moving, whatever you want to call it, is so important. I really use this for my kids, especially my son with special needs, really needs even extra exercise and to get his energy out, and that helps with sleeping. So it's usually recommended not to do this right before they go to bed, because that can rile them up a bit, but getting exercise throughout the day. You don't want your kids, sitting on the couch. They really shouldn't even be sitting still for more than a half hour or so unless they're doing their homework, but even that, getting up and stretching and moving around. Walking is a great way, walking around the block if you can, a stationary bicycle, even, a calisthenics or exercise routine. It could be fun. When we were little, we used to put tunnels out, and they used to crawl through the tunnels and do jumping jacks, and we would do jump ropes, and you could just make it fun. You can do, we'd make a hopscotch board or with pillows, and they would be able to jump around. You just want them moving, using their bodies in every which way, playing with toys. They can be playing with trucks and moving them around on the floor, making train sets and moving the trains, anything that's going to keep them moving and not just sitting there looking at a screen. The exercise will do their bodies good, and it will also tire them out and make them ready for sleep. So really try to get them up and moving. Exercise. It does not have to be sports. It does not have to always be athletics. It doesn't have to be a group sport. And in fact, sometimes kids tell me that they play all these sports, but they're really just standing there in the outfield and they're not really getting any exercise either. So you want to make sure that your kids are up and moving. It will help you, I swear, I promise you, tremendously. It will help them getting them to go to sleep. So get them up and moving. And my other tip is, now that I said to get them up and moving and to do all these things, and you have to schedule in time for getting them organized before they go to sleep, don't overschedule them with activities. So, your child doesn't need an activity every single day after school. If then they have homework, and if they're having tutors or they're having, other things, they need to have downtime as well. Downtime to relax, what we call mindfulness, to really pay attention to what they're doing. Maybe just be doing a puzzle or coloring or reading, but they don't have to be scheduled with an activity at school or after school, or in a set program every day. You want to actually tone that back, give them the activities that they like, but again, be able to fit in a conducive bedtime to their age and to their needs, as well as that downtime prior to bed, so that they can get everything organized to make the day easier for them. So it's this balancing act. So more is not always better. It's a combination on what works for you and your child as well. But don't always feel like because everyone else does 10,000 activities a week that your child has to do. Find out what's best for them, for their bodies and their health as well too. So what else can I tell you? So also just some other healthy tips for babies. Again, you want them, as I said, the temperatures, you don't want to overheat them. So young babies who are not using blankets under the age of 1, you can use sleep sacks to keep them comfortable while they're in the crib. And you want to make sure not to be feeding them a bottle overnight when they're older. Not good for the teeth, so you don't want to be giving them juice at night. Specifically, you don't want to be giving them milk or formula when it's not. I'm talking about the kids that are sleeping through the night. You just don't want them having a bottle and keeping there and being able to suck on it all night long, because it's not good for their teeth. They're getting way too much sugar that their bodies don't need as well. I prefer nothing. Some people say water, and so if they do need anything, then yes, give them water at night in a cup next to their bed, but don't leave them juice or milk at night as well. It's just better, if anything, they have to drink anything, water would be the beverage of choice. And then lastly, I just want to touch on adolescence, because there's always a lot that teens are tired all the time, and I totally get that. I have teens myself. They do need to get, as I said, 8 to 10 hours of sleep, and I think it's really important. They do have their hours, it gets changed, so basically they're not tired. It does get shifted. They're not tired as early, so it's okay, but I think parents need to know that that they are going to have that. And I have to say, this is not something that we can fix right now, but school for kids, especially teenagers, should really not start before 8 or 8:30. It's crazy. They can't concentrate. There's so many studies that have shown that they do better if it's starting at a later point. 8:30 would be ideal. And I know that it's tough, so your kids may have it a bit difficult, but try, as I said, not to overschedule them, to give them some downtime, to get their work done, plenty of exercise as well too. But kids who are adolescents need their sleep, but now they're more closer to 8 to 10 hours, not those 12 hours that the younger kids are getting. So it does change, and they probably will want to stay up later in those teen years too. And just one note before I go, I want to talk about caffeine. And you may not think, oh, you're a pediatrician, anything to do with caffeine, but you would be surprised how many children drink drinks or have foods throughout the day that have caffeine in it. In fact, I think the National Sleep Foundation did a study that shows that 26% of children over the age of 3 have at least what's considered 1 cup of caffeine a day. And so that's a lot. I'm just so surprised. But it has a lot to do with different cultures as well too. But I don't think it's necessary. It also can wreak havoc with sleep, even a cup in the morning for young children, even if it's diluted with a lot of milk and sugar. But all that can actually cause palpitations and cause their heart to beat quickly, can make them cranky and irritable, and can, as I said, wreak havoc with sleep later down in the day. So I don't really recommend coffee, whether it be caffeine, whether it be in coffee, sodas, which I don't recommend at all either, and sports drinks, energy drinks, all these, and even chocolate and things like that can have, and other foods can have hidden caffeine in it. So make sure that you look at the ingredients when you're feeding your child, but also really be careful, and I would say to avoid caffeine altogether. I know some teens have it in the morning, and if you are, 1 cup of coffee at the max. Preferably, I would say, instead of having caffeine, have a really good breakfast high in proteins and healthy fats, eggs or avocado toast, yogurt with some fruit. That actually will energize you more, the energy to pay attention and concentrate throughout the day, than having these big blips of feeling over caffeinated and then really crashing. So I opt for a healthy breakfast instead. And if they do drink caffeine, make sure that they're not having it at least 6 hours prior to going to sleep, because that will make it really difficult. So I hope these tips help. I also want to just say, also be careful of medications. Even over-the-counter medications can wreak havoc on sleep. Antihistamines, decongestants, all can make you irritable, cranky, and give you bad dreams and make it difficult to sleep. So be careful. If you have any questions, even if it's an over-the-counter medicine, feel free to ask me. You can send me something in the comments below on Facebook or on my webpage. But also, I'm always going to tell you to use your pediatrician as a source. They can give you lots of information about keeping your child healthy and happy. I'm Dr. Jen. I hope this was helpful for tips for sleeping, to get your kids to sleep at night, but more about those routines and good sleep to build those habits now to keep them healthy in the years to come. Dr. Jen, I hope to see you next week on What's Up Wednesday. Have a great day.